Anyways everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Power of the Primes Prime Masters. It was a little mini-con subline in the Power of the Primes wave, which was pretty cool. They're pretty much Legends class style figures. They were priced at about, I would say, $8, and there was 8 of them, which were really cool little mini-cons that transformed into a really cool weapon. You know, a sword, a gun, a pistol, something like that. And here is all 8 of them, and I will be taking a look at every single one of them in this video, one at a time, of course, in close detail. So that's pretty much it for this beginning intro. Let's now get into the review of all 8 Prime Masters. Here we have our first Prime Master. Let's take a look at Octopunch first, then we'll get to Solus Prime. So here we have Octopunch. I really do like this nice scuba gear vibe I'm getting. It looks super cool. I like the nice maroon for the arms, and of course the helmet section. Some nice yellow for the window or eye. That looks really nice. Some nice blue for these tubes connected to the mask. Some nice gray for the waist and these armor sections here. For the legs, done in that nice kind of turquoise bluish green, looking very cool. The weapon is stored on the back. If you do lift this up, you can see some nice sculpting, which looks pretty cool, done in that nice turquoise color, looking very cool. So we're all well detailed. Let's move on to Solus Prime, the exact same size as a Titan Master from Titan's Return. Again, done in that nice color scheme of the maroon and the turquoise. Really well sculpted for such a small little thing. Looks pretty cool. Unfortunately, very loose at the legs and easy to drop. And of course, if you do fold it up, it will reveal this really nice insignia there for Solus Prime, done in this nice silverish blue. Looking very cool. Very nice. Articulation for these Prime Masters, I'm just going to do it on this one because it's the exact same for every single one. There's a ball joint at the arm, there is a ball joint at the head. For the legs, there is a hinge here and here, so this can hinge forward and back, and of course also up. So pretty good articulation for such a small little thing. Overall, excellently well detailed for both. Let's now get into the features. So storage-wise for Solus Prime, you can open this up, just store this in here just like that, and this can close up, which looks pretty cool, very well concealed. You can barely even tell anything's in there. That looks really nice. Another feature, you can actually take the weapon off the back, and of course there is the open hand, and there is a peg. This can just plug right into place. And there we have Octopunch wielding the really cool weapon. Let's take a look at the details of this really cool weapon. I do like how the these little sections here kind of look like octopus tentacles. I really do like that. That looks really cool. Done in that maroon color, some nice yellow. Overall, very nicely detailed. Looks super cool. And of course, articulation for this small little shell piece. This can just rotate all the way around, and that's pretty much it for these little figures. Of course, that's the only time I'm going to do articulation for the shells or the Prime Masters, because they're the exact same for every single one of them. And of course, you can just store this one right on the back, just like that. Let's now get into transformation. So what you're going to want to do is open up this section here. You can then just kind of take out Solus Prime with your nail, just like that. Close this up. You can then go here, bring this weapon section down, get this peg, bring this down as well, just like that. You can then go to Solus Prime, fold this up, and then of course there is these ports on the bottom. There's these pegs there on Octopunch, and this will just peg right into place, just like that. And there we have Octopunch and Solus Prime in the weapon mode, looking very cool. So let's take a look at the details, and then I will, of course, show it in a figure's hand using. It looks really cool. So, of course, we have that nice yellow and maroon color at the front of the weapon there. Some nice turquoise at the back. Of course, Solus Prime, that really cool insignia on top. Unfortunately, the arms, you really don't do much with them. You just kind of have them sit there. And, of course, the rest on the bottom is all the detail I covered before. So a really cool, simple, little creative weapon. I'm going to go off to the side, grab a figure, and I'll show you what it looks like in a figure's hand. So now I'm going to quickly show you how Octopunch and Solus Prime's weapon looks in a figure's hand. I have Dreadwind here from Power of the Primes, and then of course we have the peg there. We can just plug that right into his hand, just like that. And there we have Dreadwind using the really cool Prime weapon from Solus Prime and Octopunch. That looks super cool. That's pretty much it for this Prime. Let's move on to the next Prime. Up next next for our Prime Master review, of course, here we have Bludgeon and Quintus Prime. So let's take a look at Bludgeon first. I think this is probably one of my favorite Prime Master designs for the shell. This looks so amazing, so much detail on such a small little thing. Of course, heavy design of a samurai. It looks super cool with that samurai hat on the top, done in purple. Of course, some more purple on the forearms, some nice orange on the shoulder sections. Of course, getting to the chest here, we have a nice Decepticon symbol done in silver. Some nice white for the skullish face. That looks super, super cool. For the waist section or the skirt section, we have this really nice bronze armor piece. That looks super, super cool. Some more orange for the knees and some purple for the feet. Really well detailed. That looks super, super cool. Let's get to Quintus Prime, of course. Exactly the same size as Solus Prime and the other ones. Very, very cool. Of course, matching the same color scheme as Bludgeon with the orange and purple. Looking really nice. And if you fold it up, it will reveal the really cool Prime design for Quintus. Almost kind of a spider design. That looks super cool. Now, for features, what you can do is open up Bludgeon, store this figure inside like that, close it up, and you can barely even tell it's there. Unfortunately, on my copy of this Prime Master, it does not want to fully close. You can see there's a slight crack there. Unfortunately, just does not want to tab in, so I do apologize if it opens several times in the review portion for this figure, but overall, looks super cool. So another feature you can do is go on the back, take this little blaster off like this, and you can have Bludgeon hold it. So there is a peg and a port in the hand, and this will just tab right into place, and he can blast at some Autobots. That weapon is hugely oversized. I'm actually surprising it will hold the weight and not just fall forward. If you want to balance the weight a little bit, you can actually angle this sideways and have the other arm hold it like he's charging a battle, which looks pretty cool in my opinion. I do think the weapon looks pretty cool with this kind of nut and bolt design done in that orange. That looks pretty nice. So that's pretty much it for features and accessories. Of course, articulation is exactly the same as the other Prime Masters and Prime Master shells. Of course, really just rotation at the arms, and of course, lots of ball joints for the Prime Master itself. So now for transformation, what you can do is just open this section up, bring out Quintus Prime, close this up. You can then go back here, bring down the weapon, get the peg, bring it down. You can then get Quintus Prime, fold it up. There is these two ports there, two pegs there, and then this can just tab right into place just like that, and there we have Bludgeon and Quintus Prime and their really, really cool gun. Let's take a look at the details. So, of course, starting at the front with this really nice barrel. Again, I really like that nice nut and bolt design with that orange. That looks super cool. I also do like how that color matches the Prime as well. And of course, again, that nice design there looks super, super cool. Nice purple. Unfortunately, the arms do stay right where they are, but overall, a really cool looking blaster. And very, very nice. So let me just go off to the side. I'm going to grab a figure so we can show off this really cool weapon in a really cool figure's hand. Now to quickly show off Bludgeon / Quintus Prime's weapon in someone's hand here, we have, of course, again, Dreadwind, and, of course, Bludgeon and Quintus Prime looking super cool in this huge, big rifle gun. That looks super, super nice. Very cool. So that's pretty much it for this Prime Master. Let's now move on to the next. To our next Prime, here we have Marauder and Alchemist Prime. So, of course, let's take a look at Marauder first. This thing looks so, so cool. Another one of my favorite ones. I really like this nice shark or hammerhead shark design. It looks super cool, very menacing. Big point at the top of his head. Some nice red for the eyes, some yellow for the face section. That looks super cool. Some nice gray for the arms, some more dark blue at the waist, some more pink. Nice Decepticon symbol there as well. For the legs, some more of that blue and gray. Looks super, super cool, and of course the weapon is on the back. Very, very nice, and if you move this up, there's some nice sculpting and detailing. Done on that nice blue, some nice pink at the weapon, almost sort of like a pitchfork. That looks super cool. Let's take a look at Alchemist Prime. Done in the same color scheme with the gray and blue. Looks really nice. The face is pretty simple, but overall looks pretty cool for such a small thing. If you fold this up, it does reveal this really cool pattern for Alchemist Prime. Several black dots with that gray in the back. Looks pretty cool. So now for features and accessories. Of course, if you open this up, get Alchemist Prime, store it inside, Looks pretty cool. You can barely actually tell he is inside. That's pretty cool. And if you want to give him his weapon, you can just grab it off his back. Just take that off right there. There is a peg and a port in the figure's hand. Just plug that right into place. I think this is probably one of my favorite weapons. It looks, I think, the most reasonably sized. It really does look like sort of a pitchfork. Looks super, super cool. Love that pink and gray design. Very, very nice and menacing and sharp. So that's pretty much it for features and accessories and details. Let's now move on to transformation. So you're just going to want to get the weapon, go back here, tab that into place, open this up, get Alchemist Prime out of here. Sometimes it can be a little hard for such a small space. There we go. Close this up. You can then go here, bring this down, get the peg, bring that down. You can then grab Alchemist Prime, fold it up, and of course, exactly the same as the other transformations, there's these ports, there's these pegs, and you can just plug this right into place. And there we have Marauder and Alchemist Prime's really cool looking blaster or sword weapon, whatever you want to call it. Let's take a look at the details. So we're going to start at the very front, of course. Really nice blade or gun piece here done in that pink and white. Looks super cool. Of course, I do like this nice black and gray design for the Alchemist Prime's folded up version on the weapon. Some nice blue, some gray. Again, unfortunately, no really place to put the arms. They just kind of stay there, but not looking too bad. Overall, really cool looking weapon. Let me just go off to the side, grab Dreadwing, and of course I will show you what this weapon looks like in his hands. Now to quickly show off Alchemist and Marauder's weapon in figure's hand. Here, of course, again we have Dreadwing from Power of the Prime, so we can just get his hand, just plug that right into place. And here we have the really cool sword/blaster weapon, looking very, very nice. Definitely one of my favorite Prime Masters. Let me know actually in the comment section down below which one is your favorite of this group of 8 Prime Masters. Looking super cool. Let's now move on to the next one. Our next Prime. Here we have Micronus and Cloudburst. Let's take a look at Cloudburst first. So here he is looking really cool with this nice white, blue, and red design, looking super cool, of course. Nice red arms, that blue, nice white there for the chest, some nice blue for the waist section, some more red and white for the legs, and some gray for the feet. I do like this really cool double-barreled blaster on the back. Of course, I will show you what that looks like in his hand in just a second. Moving on to Micronus Prime, looking super, super cool. Of course, matching that same design as Cloudburst there with the red, gray, and some blue for the face. And if you fold it up, you can see his really cool Prime insignia there, looking super cool, with this kind of goldish yellow there. Very shiny, looking very cool. So now for features, you can bring this down, and you can store Micronus inside Cloudburst like that. That looks pretty cool in my opinion. Another feature you can do is bring out his weapon. Just untap that. There is a peg and a port in his hand, so just tab that right into place. Another really cool weapon. I would not want to mess with that, especially with a minicon. That looks pretty crazy and really huge. Again, if you want to, you can have him kind of holding like that. He's like about to run into battle or something like that. If you want to balance the weight, that looks pretty cool in my opinion. So overall details and feature-wise, that's pretty much it. Let's now move on to transformation. So you're just going to want to have the arms at a neutral position. You can then bring out Micronus from here. There we go. You can then close this up. You can then get the weapon, just tab this into place. Just like that, make sure this is all the way down. You can then get the peg, bring this out, and then you're going to want to fold up Micronus Prime. There is these ports and pegs, and this will just peg right into place, and there we have Micronus and Cloudburst's weapon. That looks super cool. Let's take a look at the details. So, of course, at the very front, this nice white and red, huge double-barreled blaster, almost a machine gun. That looks super, super crazy. Would not want to mess with that. Nice gray there. Lots of really nice sculpting and detailing. Red arms. Really nice design or insignia there. Almost kind of looks like horns or like a face of an animal. That looks pretty crazy. Love the golds. And, of course, lots of gray. Really cool looking weapon. Now let me get Dreadwing off from the side and I'll show you what this weapon looks like in his hands. Now let me quickly show you what Dreadwind looks like with Cloudburst and Micronus' weapon in his hand. So of course, peg and a port, just plug that right into place, and there we have him wielding this really cool, huge, double-barreled blaster machine gun. That looks super crazy. Again, I would not want to come face-to-face with that. That looks super cool. Let's now move on to the next Prime. We have Vector Prime and Metal Hawk. Let's take a look at Metal Hawk first, looking super cool with this dark blue, yellow, and red design, looking very nice. Big horn on the top of his head, some silver on the sides where the shoulders are, of course some more silver for the knees there, some gray for the feet, some more blue. Overall, lots of layering, nice Autobot symbol on the chest there done in silver, looking super nice. And of course for Vector Prime here, that same gray and blue design, some silver for the face, overall looking pretty cool. And if we fold him up, we can reveal his really cool Prime insignia design. Some lines there done in blue, of course some dark blue surrounding it. That looks pretty cool in my opinion. So now for features wise, of course he can store inside a Metal Hawk, so we just open him up, just drop him right in there, just like that, and you can close this up. Pretty cool, like that. And then of course if you want to, you can go back here, take his weapon off his back, and you can plug that into his hand, a peg, and a port. That will just plug right into place, and there we have him holding his really big silver blaster, which does look very cool in my opinion. So that's pretty much it for features and accessories. Let's now get into transformation. So what you're going to want to do is go back here, tab this gun right back onto place, like that. You can then open this up, bring out Vector Prime, close this up. You can then go back here, bring the blaster out, fold down the peg, and of course, the same step as always, fold up the legs. There is the ports and the pegs, and that will just tab right into place, just like that. Unfortunately, this one does seem to be a little bit loose, so I'll be careful about that, but there we have Vector Prime and Metal Hawk in their really cool looking gun mode. So of course let's take a look at the details. So my silver at the front with some blue for the arms, of course again same place, some gray, and of course that really cool looking Prime insignia for Vector Prime, looking super cool with that nice light and dark blue mixed. That looks super cool. So let me just go up to the side, grab Dreadwing, and I'll show you what this weapon looks like in his hands. Now let me just quickly show a Vector Prime and Metal Hawk's weapon in Dreadwind's hands. So of course just plug that right into place just like that. And there we have Dreadwind holding his really cool looking blaster. Lots of silver and gray. I think that looks really cool. Let's now move on to the next Prime. Here we have our next Prime. Here we have Landmine and Alphatron. Let's take a look at Landmine first. He looks pretty cool with all this orange, some nice gray for the arms, some more for the top of the face, nice Autobot symbol there done in red, some more gray for the waist, some more red at the knees, of course above near the stomach, and of course lots of orange at the feet, so looking very cool. And of course let's take a look at Alphatron, done with some nice gray and orange, some more lighter orange for the face, looking very cool. And of course if you fold this up, it will reveal his really cool Prime insignia design. Lots of really nice red or pink for these cool little crystals or diamond shape. That looks pretty cool. So now for features and accessories, you can just open this up. You can store Alphatron inside and just close that up just like that. That looks pretty cool. Then you can go to the back, take his accessory off of here just like that, and it can plug in his hand just like this. I kind of wish maybe the weapon was red, because it does kind of blend in with his arm a little too much in my opinion. That's just my opinion. I kind of wish it was red just for it to stand out a little bit more, or it could have been in silver. I don't know, that's just my opinion. But overall that looks pretty cool. So now let's get into transformation to the weapon mode. So what you're going to want to do is just take this weapon out of his hand just like this. You can then tab this right on his back just like this. We can then take Alphatron out of Landmine. If we just open this up, take this out, close this up, you can then bring out the weapon, bring out the peg. You can then fold up Alphatron like this. There is these ports, these pegs, Just plug that right into place, and there we have Alphatron and Landmine in their weapon mode. Unfortunately, this connection's a little bit loose too, but that looks super cool. Let's take a look at the details. So, of course, some nice gray for the main barrel section, and the side of the gun, some nice orange for the main body of the gun, and this really nice pink diamond-shaped crystals looking super cool on top, with the gray all around it. Really cool looking weapon, very simple. Let me just grab Dreadwing off from the side and I'll show you what this weapon looks like in his hands. Just to quickly show what Alphatron and Landmine's weapon looks like in a figure's hands. Here we have Dreadwing, so I'm just going to quickly plug that in his hands and let you have a quick look. So overall, I think that looks very cool, definitely a lot of firepower, very, very nice. Let's now move on to the next Prime. Our next Prime. Here we have Skullgrin and Liege Maximo. What's actually really cool about this one, this was the first Prime Master I ever got, which is super cool. So let's take a look at Skullgrin first. I really do love this awesome skull head sculpt, these huge horns and tusks and teeth that look super menacing and scary. Nice Decepticon symbol right below the face, done in purple. Some nice pink for the arms, for the stomach, some nice white at the waist with this really cool skull design for like his belt buckle. That looks pretty cool. Some nice white on the side of the legs. Mostly the legs are done in pink or purple, and of course gray for the feet. That looks super cool. His weapon is on the back, done in silver. Huge daggers or big knife pieces. That looks super cool. Let's move on to Liege Maximo, done in gray and that nice pinkish purple, looking super cool, with some more gray and purplish pink for the face. Very simple, and of course if you fold it up, it will reveal his really cool Prime insignia. Almost kind of looks like a bird to me, done in green or lime green. That looks pretty good. And now on to features and accessories. So we can just open up Skullgrin, we can store Liege Maximo inside, you can just close that up. Very cool. Then we can go back here, grab his big dagger sword piece. You can just plug this onto his arm, and I think that looks pretty cool. Almost like Wolverine claws. I would definitely not want to come against those. Those look super cool. You can slice some Autobots up with those. That looks super cool. Let's now move on to transformation into his big dagger mode. So what you're going to do is just go back here. You can tab this weapon into place. You can bring this up just like that. You can then bring this out. Take out Liege Maximo. Sometimes you can take some Prime. There we go. Close this up. You can then make sure this is fully tabbed in. We can then bring down the peg like that. Get Liege Maximo folded up. And of course there is these ports and pegs. And then you want to just fully get this in there, just like that, fully secure. And there we have Liege Maximo and Skullgrin's really cool looking dagger mode. Let's take a look at the details. So of course we have these big huge blades here done in silver, some more gray of course for the main body, some pink on the sides, and this really nice looking kind of bird design. That's just my opinion of what it is. Really cool looking nice lime green detail with some more pink all around it. Really cool looking dagger mode. Let me just go up to the side, grab Dreadwing, and I'll show you what it looks like in his hands. So here we have Liege Maximo and Skullgrin's really cool looking dagger weapon and Power of the Prime's Dreadwing. That looks super cool. Definitely a really cool weapon that looks really nice in several figures' hands. Highly suggest if you can get this minicon, go and get it. Let's now move on to our last Prime Master. Our last Prime Master. Here we have Bombburst and Micronus. Let's take a look at the details. So we're going to start with Bombburst here. This is actually a slight repaint, heavy remold of Skullgrin. Of course, there is the big dagger weapon on the back, but I will still show you how it is transformed. Of course, heavy wolf design with this really cool looking shell figure here. Big ears done in blue with really big scary teeth at the face. Some nice yellow at the eyes, some gray at the arms, some nice dark pink there, almost purple. Nice white Decepticon symbol there. Lots of really dark gray for the rest of the figure, looking super cool. And of course the big claws or big blades at the back, looking super cool. Let's move on to Micronus with lots of dark and light gray and some silver for the face. And if you fold it up, it will reveal the really cool insignia for Micronus with lots of red and gray. looking super cool. So let's now move on to features and accessories. So of course we can store Micronus inside Bomb Burst. We just plug him right in there, close it up. That looks pretty cool. And then of course his accessory is the really big dagger weapon on the back. Just take that off and you can plug it right in his hand. And I think that looks pretty cool. Again, this is kind of like another minicon. I wish the weapon was a different color from the arm. I wish it was like maybe the blue from the ears or the pink from the chest. I think that would have stood out a little bit more and it would look pretty cool. But overall, very, very nice. Let's now get into transformation. So we can just take this off, put it on his back, tab that into place like that. Open this up. You can take out Micronus just like this. Close this up. You can then fold up Micronus. You can then go here, bring out this big dagger piece just like that. Make sure that's fully tabbed in. Bring out the peg. Keep the arms where they are. And then of course there is, oops, did not mean to drop it. There is 2 ports and of course 2 pegs. Just plug that right into place just like that. And there we have the fully complete dagger weapon, which looks super cool. Of course, the exact same weapon as Skullgrin's and Leech Maximo, but still a really cool looking one. Let's take a look at the details. So, of course, big dagger piece up front done in gray, some more gray on the sides, and a much darker coat of gray for the rest of the weapon, and some really nice red and light gray at this top section here. Looking super cool. So that's pretty much it for this last prime. Let me just quickly go up to the side, grab Dreadwind, and I'll show you what this weapon looks like in his hands. Here we have a quick look, of course, at Bomb Burst and Micronus's really cool looking dagger weapon in Dreadwind's hands. That looks super cool, and if you wanted to, you could get Skullgrin and Legion Maximo and have him dual wield these really cool dagger weapons. Overall, a really cool looking minicon. That's pretty much it for the Battle Masters. Let's now move on to the final thought. Let's now get into the final thoughts for these really cool looking Prime Masters. I think overall it's a really cool subline of these really cool, nice Legends or mini-con style figures. Yeah, all the transformations are the same for every single one of them, and they're all pretty much the same size and the same price. Some of them are repaints of each other with some slight tweaks, but I still think they look pretty cool. Lots of creativity, and the little shell figures like Alchemist Prime with Marauder and Octopunch with Solus Prime. Those are probably my 2 favorite. I really do like the nice shark design for Marauder and Octopunch. I really do like the kind of scuba gear look for it. That looks super cool. And definitely Bludgeon is one of my favorite because the design on him is amazing for such a small $8 little thing. Tons of design, and I actually would really love a full-size Bludgeon figure. I don't even have one, so definitely one of my favorites of the bunch. So overall, really, really cool figures. My only complaint would be some of the weapons I wish were a different color from their arms, like Micronus and Bomb Burst. His weapon is the same color as arms, so it kind of blends together whenever you put it in his hand. So I kind of wish either the arm color was different or the weapon color was different, so it could kind of tell apart and be a little bit better. But that's my only minor complaint. Overall, really good figures. Highly recommend if you can get them. Of course, these figures were from quite a while ago, like 4 or 5 years ago. So if you can find them on eBay for a good price, I'd actually highly recommend getting them because they're pretty cool. I will be doing several more throwback reviews of Power of the Primes, Tiny Returns, so make sure you stay tuned. I actually will create playlists for Tiny Return and Power of the Primes, so if you want to see all those reviews, just go to the playlist section on my channel and check those out. And I hope you enjoyed this review, and I'll see you next time.